Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast, the ultimate podcast for paintball enthusiasts. Each week, we dive into the world of paintball, bringing you stories, insights, and tips from players, coaches, and industry insiders. Sponsored by 1023 Sportswear. Looking for high-quality gear that performs as hard as you do? Check out 1023 Sportswear. And as a listener of the Planet Paintball Podcast, you can get 20% off your order with the code Planet Paintball. Suit up, save big, and play your best.
All right. Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast. Today, I'm joined here with Mike from Athletic Club Greenville, a new paintball organization in the upstate of South Carolina. Hey, Mike.
Thanks for having me, man. This is great.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for making the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're living busy new dad life.
I am. I'm surrounded by children's books. You can see the little high chair behind me. Thanks, Tony Tran.
Hey, shout out Trey and Danis.
Yes.
We need another run.
We need another run. We need another run to the whole community.
Yeah. For the community.
Absolutely.
So you're one of the ones when I started doing this and okay, if I'm going to really make a run on it, who do I like? You need to make a list, and that list needs to be 50 people long, period. And you are in that top 10.
I'm honored.
I got to have Mike in here because I really dig what you're doing.
Thanks.
I think it's a different take. It's something we haven't seen a lot in Greenville.
Yeah,
So,
it's a little awkward going in because people are like, what are you doing? What is it? And I'm kind of wading into it, a little slowly, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So
yeah.
I'd rather start right.
Yeah, it's definitely a marathon, especially to build something that's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah, hopefully, it is definitely a long-term project, and the way it's designed, I think it's going to be pretty easy for me to do that. It's basically everything I've ever been doing. I just created a little social media and, a little bit of organization. It goes a long way.
Yeah. So lay it out. What is Athletic Club Greenville?
Yeah. Athletic Club Greenville, or ACGE, it's a club, right? And really what I wanted to create was a little bit of organization that could be sticky for the local players, that we can use, just a little bit of structure just to kind of lean on and come together as a community and go play. I'm really tired of driving past this great field here in Greenville, right? Graded turf, that's really something. And it's been there a long time, right? But there have been some good organizations in the area. A time or two, they're like flashes in the pan, right? Because we got so much talent in the area. There really is some good paintball players in the area. We always have to go elsewhere, play.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd like to build something that can be useful to all the players, the whole community. And then we can kind of use that to go on and then do whatever we want, right? Let's just get together and practice a few times a month. Everybody's welcome. Do it. We'll do 3-man, we'll do 5-man, 10-man. It was great.
Yeah, back there was fun.
Yeah. And then, I hope to actually build some teams because I wanted to play, right? I did it because I want to play. And I was thinking okay, I want to play some paintball next year. I want to play some tournaments. Guess we'll start a team, And then I reached out to a bunch of people, and it's just hard to get the commitment out of everybody, right? It's a luxury sport. Costs so much. You got to invest so much time and effort. I thought, let's just play in the area. And then, over time, we'll see who wants to put in the similar amount of money and effort, and blood and sweat and tears, and we'll go do something together, So we'll start small, but, in time, we'll do some fun stuff, I think.
Yeah. And what I really like about it is that it's why the hope is teams will come out of it. It's not a team, and we aren't setting hey, we're trying to do team practice here.
Right.
It's really everyone is welcome. And
Right.
You've been great coaching some of the new guys up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corey's not going to care if I use him as an example, I think.
No, he's going to love it. I love talking about Corey. He's a great example.
He's come so far, in the last 2 months.
Yeah. Because he's been putting the work in, right?
Yeah.
Corey's just one of those guys. He came to the paintball community and, he needed some boys, right? he was looking for kind of a new place to go. So he was a little noobish when we first found him at Red Fox in the woods. And, we're just open to him, but he just jumped right in, right? He just jumped right into the deep end. And like anytime I was out there working, he was out there. If I couldn't make it, he didn't care, right? He'd go out there work too. And he's put that work in. And now, I actually got to keep track of him on the field. Like I can't just like take him for granted anymore. But that's what I want, right? Like I want to raise the level of play around here, and so I don't have to drive to Rock Hill or Atlanta to have a challenge.
Yeah. Well,
Unless Mark Henley or Kevin or semi-pro guys are at the field.
Yeah.
There's so much talent right here in Greenville. But
no, there's
always
a
elsewhere.
ton.
Yeah.
But we've never been good at in Greenville, like cultivating new talent.
I think you're right. I think, the way that it's always been is that any paintball team, it's always kind of had an exclusive model. This is our roster. Sure, with the cool kids, like you're glad you're with the cool kids, and if you're not quite cool enough, you're not quite good enough, like we're doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And there's a level of that's important, like a pro team. Like no, like you don't have time to maybe a first timer, if you're a pro team and you're trying to win a tournament, right? That's why I wanted to create ACG, because I was like, we need a sticky place, right? We need a place where people feel welcome, where they can learn, and where they don't have to worry about that ego stuff, right? Being the best and being included. It's like, look, everybody's included. You don't even have to worry about that. Just focus on your game, focus on connecting with the guys around you, and put all that other stuff, to the side. I think it takes kind of a lot of pressure off. I think even in practice around here, there's always been times where like people taking it really seriously, and I get it, but if you can't see beyond the horizon, that hill looks like a mountain.
Yeah. Well, and I'll backtrack a little bit and say like Ken Barrett, like definitely trained up a lot of guys.
And that talent's still around.
Yeah, that talent's still around. They need a place to play. They want to play competitively. This kind of gives them a day that says, hey, there's going to be bodies to shoot. There's going to be bodies, so please come out.
Yeah.
But also, like, he was doing that, but you had to be in the organization to do it. And it can be hard. He had a team,
right? He had a team. And he needed a certain level of commitment. Yeah. And he needed that commitment from the players. Yeah. And, organizations have always found ways to do that. But it takes somebody, doing whatever it is, like getting jumped in the gang, it takes a commitment, right? Somebody's got to make that choice and buy in, and then they're going to be held accountable. That can be overwhelming, right? Especially if you're just like, some kid coming out of the woods, you don't know who's who, you don't know what's what.
Yeah.
And so like Greenville, AC Greenville, it's a low commitment thing, right? You can just show up to practice. And if you find people, great, let's keep it going. But if you don't, you play a day of paintball, right? You're looking to play paintball anyway. So, I feel like it's got something for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're starting to see the proof in the pudding, like not just Corey, but so bad with names. Yeah, Chase.
And if you can get on those guys' teams, they'll give you access, right? But I think with something like this, right, we can just get all of Greenville together. We'll get those new guys up to speed fast, and then it'll give those experienced guys something to show up for, right?
Yeah.
Bodies to shoot.
Well, that's also the nice part. Is like, hey, we're going to come do these drills. If you don't want to do them, you don't have to. You can just show up and play if you're one of those more experienced guys after we do the quick little drills. But those drills help those new players be more of a threat.
Right. And then everybody enjoys it like so much more. I think what I really want to get into though, because, snap shooting, running and shooting off the break shooting, some people can do most of those things in their backyard.
Yeah.
But you can always do it alone, right? You don't need the guys. And that's why, like, after we warm up and stretch, like, we're going into, that's what everybody wants to do. I'm not trying to get in the way of that. But it can kind of plant that seed, the new guys, and then everybody kind of gets their shot on and then, go play. But I think where things will get really interesting, where I really start to kind of nerd out, is when you start getting into more like team theory, right? And like not just playing walk-on street ball, right? Where say, I'm going to this spot off the break, and, everybody just wants to like go get a kill. So they run out there and they're looking left and they're looking right, and then a zone gets dropped, and then Mark Henley's running down the field and shooting 8 people in the back. So that's what I really want to kind of move into in the medium to long run is really helping kids not just shoot the guns well, but understand where their place is on the field, on the team, so that we can continue to really raise the level of play. Like, gun skills are only going to go so much. It's got to be sort of an understanding.
Yeah.
Some common language. That's why I put the codes up for public, so that everybody can come and know the codes and know how to talk about the field in the same way. That's really important too.
Here's our layout. Here's our codes.
Yeah.
Well, I got 2 things, but first, like, I really do enjoy the game theory aspect after the drills. And that's something a lot of those students would be exposed to until they're on a good D5 team at minimum, is really talking about, hey, on this field, these jobs, these are the pain points, these are goal bunkers. Today we're going to work on communication. A lot of that stuff doesn't happen in pickup paintball.
No. So then you can go out there, and if you're a great gunfighter, right, like you'll just like gunfight your way down the side of a field and get a couple of kills, and then maybe trade with the third guy or something like that, and it's fun for you, But I always loved the game, right? Like, I always really younger years, I thought I was going to go be pro, and if some doors opened eventually, like, I still love that, right? Like, who wouldn't love that? So I was a student of the game. Like, I went really hard for like a long time, but I just didn't go to the places that I needed to go. Like, if you're out there trying to get it, if you're out there trying to be pro, don't let anything hold you back, right? You're going to have to drive those nights to show up to some tryout. You're going to have to just really be somebody who doesn't make any excuses. But I think at the end of the day, I wanted a little bit different out of life, right? I got the baby, and that's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's been so great. But I also see how paintball has just helped me be a better person, helped me learn so many things that, lessons I would not have received without the game. So, like, I've just got this love for it in my soul that I'll never be able to get rid of. And so that's why I was like, okay, I think I could run the club, because, like, I don't have to drive anybody, right? I don't have to be the motivator. I can just be a place to come, provide a little bit to the community. And I'm so happy to do that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it sustainable for me. That is the job of whoever's running the AC Greenville event. I call them the facilitator. It's got a whole structure and stuff. It's all just me. But eventually I'm going to need help, right? I will need somebody who I can trust to facilitate future events if I can't make it. I thought there was going to be a pro tryout in Rock Hill the other day because I misread this flyer. Right.
NRG thing?
Yeah, they have great marketing. They did a great job of marketing that D3 X Ball thing. It looked like a pro tryout, except for at the very top, which I probably thought was like an HK Army logo or something. And it was like D3 X Ball. But I was so torn because it was on the day of the AC Greenville event. And then it snowed and I didn't want to drive. And I made an excuse, so I didn't show up.
Yeah.
I don't belong on a pro team anyway. So, but then we went and we had a frozen drill day. I show up to those events. I'm going to do it hell or high water. So if you're looking at the schedule and you're like, I don't know if anybody's going to be there, facilitator's going to be there. Yep.
It turned out to be a good little day too.
It was.
We didn't have.
We were limited with half a frozen field. Half of that field stays in the shade, and it was just frozen solid. But yeah, we made the most of it, and that's what I love about the community. Like, we're always just, it's kind of like a good old Southern vibe, right? Like, we may not have a lot, but we're going to make the most of what we got. It's one of those Southern values that, I've always kind of taken to heart. But that does require community, right? Like, when people get together, they can make a whole lot more out of a little bit. And we did, like 3-4 guys put up a layout, work on 3-on-3s. If that's all you got 6 guys.
And there's, a lot you can do. Even with those 3, you can still break down into situationals and stuff that are part of the larger part of the game.
Yeah. And that's why I'm always so stoked to play with you. Because, like, you're one of those guys who's always, like, making the best of it. Always got a good attitude. You're never, like, bringing the energy down and this sucks and let's just go home. And, You know, you
Yeah.
you just not got any of that quit in you. And I've seen that from day one. You and your brother both. You know, you've
Well, I
always been
appreciate it.
some of those stand-up folks. So like props to your parents. They did something right there.
Shout out mom and dad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and like, even with relapse, like when we started that, I was very adamant, like I will not be in leadership. And Kevin and Andy kind of dragged me kicking and screaming into
Well, good
it.
on them. They're good friends. You know, I feel like the parody of good leadership is that like a good leader doesn't really want to lead.
Yeah.
They're always reluctant, right?
Um, so yeah, but when I also see something that I like and want to support, like I want to support it. And I think I technically missed one day. I got out there a little late and you guys packed it up.
It's so funny to me, you know, you're not the only person who's said something like that, right? Like I've gotten calls from guys like, you know, like, I'm sorry, like these really important things in my life have come up. I can't make it to the, the community event this weekend. And it's like, dude, it's okay. Like, I'm glad that you're taking care of your important stuff, right? But like, nobody's on a roster yet. Like, we're about to build some rosters. So show up to the AC Greenville community events. We're going to make plans pretty soon to like go play some tournaments. So if that's what you're looking to do, show up to the field and find some guys to play with, and then make a commitment to somebody and stick to it. But you're not making any commitments to me. You're not making any commitments to the Shield. It's just, make what you want out of it, right? But it takes doing, right? Go out there and do something. Go connect with the people. That's really hard for folks these days, I think. It's really hard to, make the commitments because life is hard right now for a lot of people, most of the people in our community, right? Like nobody has a lot.
No.
So we're all making the best of what we got. So, but if everybody's struggling with that, they're not reaching out to each other, they're not organizing. And that's powerful, right? So I just want to be a place where people can come and use that little bit of support, right? That little bit of organization to go figure out who's around them and what they have in common.
Well, and I think even if you're limited, but you want to get better, like coming out and doing the drills, like honestly, it's a bag, right? It's about what we do on drills. And if that's all you can do for the day, like you can still come in, do the drills and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And,
and you can still contribute to the team aspect of it, right? By imparting your knowledge. Like, these events are not a lecture from the facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
The facilitator's just trying to bring everybody together, find some common area of focus, and then really get what we can out of the community. Because, like, I'm not the best player in the community, There's guys out here who have...
You're pretty good.
Thank you. But there's guys out here who put me to shame more often than not. And, that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn. So yeah, that's what we're all about. We're all about learning. We're all about, coming together.
Well, and these are bringing out those upper tier guys. And like you said before, like they were around, but it was hard getting them out, or it was a team thing. And
then it was hard to get in.
Yeah. And then as a team, you needed to go up to Rock Hill, Palmetto Hills, Greensboro.
And I was always happy to do that, right? And I did. But now that I have, a kid and a wife and we both work, like taking the whole day, it's tough.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the same for those guys too, right? They've got their jobs and stuff like that. So hopefully, we can really put something together and we can start really being productive at these events. I think it's been I wanted to start early in the off season, like right after, I think it was right before World Cup. I kind of started rolling this out, but it was like, you don't need to do anything right now. Just know that we're here. And now we're building that base and people are showing, and that'll only build because people will be like, oh, do I show up on a random day or do I go ahead and just wait for the AC event, show up that day? I know there will be.
And I think we're going to have some really nasty 3-man teams come out of the organization. Like,
there's a couple of just monsters out here who don't have a place to play. And they're like, well, I guess if that's the next time to play, I guess we'll do that. So yeah. There's a couple of things going on in the area. I just kind of heard about this CFOA Blitz thing. That's a little exciting. There's the AXBL. that's where I really want to play. So I'm definitely trying to put a roster together, like for me, right? Like I did this because I want to play, and this is the stuff I want to play. So I hope you'll come out and play with me.
Yeah. Well, after that first event, can hopefully make it happen. So I want to. Honestly, like the whole Athletic Club Greenville thing has kind of like re-sparked me.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have a habit of coming in 3 years going hard and heavy and then getting burnt out because of financial stuff or life stuff. And then, okay, I'm going to dip off for a year or two and then I'll come back. After Relapse kind of folded, I was like, I am not leaving. Like, I'm going to stay here and continue to get better.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of where I was too. Like I would find a place to play and then it would burn out because most of these models, frankly, are unsustainable. The people take it far. They had a whole season of, NXL is just like crazy money. And it's worth it. Like if you are really going in that direction, right? If that's what you're wanting to do and go pro and do all that, like, hell yeah, that's what you need to do. There's so many of us who just aren't on that path at this point, but we still want to play and we enjoy the game and we do want to be better. We do want to compete. It's just finding a way to do it sustainably. And that's really where my head is at. But I know people, any society, I'm a nerd for this stuff, right? This is what I studied in college, right? Sociology. But like human beings, they come together and we solve our needs together, right? Think of how many people it takes to make a cheese, right? Like how many labor go into a cheese, make it to the cheese, harvest the lettuce, all that. Like it's incredible. It's a simple thing, but it's how many labor hours go into it?
Yeah, you got me thinking about the farmers.
Yeah,
like multiple farmers, right? You got to have a dude for the wheat, the dude for the tomato,
talk about a burger for a long time, right?
We haven't even got to the meat.
Exactly. So I knew I needed to find a way to bring the community together so that we can use what little bit we got, put it together and really put something good together. So yeah, that sustainability aspect is super important to me. And that's why I say, take care of what's important to you. Show up to these things when you can. And you're going to find people to play with at whatever level you want to play. But the more participation that we get, the more options each individual is going to have. And then hopefully we can start to leverage that consumer power at some point to, make it more cost effective for the individual. I'd really like to encourage people to pool paint.
Yeah.
Pooling paint goes such a long way. I think it's like really weird to me. And I've debated with people before. It's like snake guys, right? They'll be like, well, I don't shoot much paint, right? So I don't want to pool paint and I'll end up paying more than what I'm shooting. It's such a narrow view. Yeah. This is a team sport. Like if you're going to have fun in the snake, you're going to need a guy like this behind you dumping 5 pods over your head and shooting at the guy shooting at you so that you can go to work, right? So like without me and trying to put all that financial burden on that guy, again, it's unsustainable, right? So, in order to play the team sport, you do have to pool resources. You think a squad in the Army says, this is my mag, you can't have it. He's like, well, what if somebody runs around the back of this house? You want me to just let him shoot you in the back because I don't have a mag? The ammo logistics, it's important.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? You're going to share it out on that field when you're playing if it's really needed. So let's keep everyone playing a little bit longer.
I have been out in the woods at like Red Fox's having a 12-year-old be like, do you have any paintballs? I'm like, no, you got to pick some off on the ground.
They're expensive out there. But, we had that great 3-player pod toss on the hyperball.
I missed it. It must have happened behind my back. I must have been focused on a shot or something.
I wish we had a video of it because it went from Corey to B to Colin.
Oh, it was a relay.
Yeah, it was a relay. Like Colin was out. B didn't have any to give him. Corey still had a decent amount on his back. So they relayed it and they did it perfectly.
Are they chucking the pod so it's spinning? Are they underhanding it, spinning it?
Chucking it, but they all caught it like midair too. It just looked really good.
Like, probably 70. I've seen like 30% of pod throws go well. So that it happened 3 times in a row is kind of like,
it was like, oh man, we
so much
missed
talent
that.
in the area. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But it's just, and I think that that mech day was really fun.
Dude, it was so cool to play 10 on 10 hydro ball mounds, with some of those legends.
Yeah.
And just some like really good players. I got a buddy of mine, Drew. You met Drew. And he's like a real life friend who like started playing paintball with me. And like I made friends with him when I was the juice bar guy at, the grocery store down the road through college and stuff. And he started playing paintball with me, and like we've gotten really close after that, right? It has a way, right? Now we're like similar interests outside and kind of brothers in arms, when he comes to the field with me. He doesn't go as hard as I do. That he enjoys it, right? He gets it. But he was like, came out of that 10-man day and he was like, dude, that was like another level. Because like he'll be successful out there at Red Fox, right? We're playing 14-year-olds, and like he'll kind of go off, right? And he'll do real well. And so he really saw the difference. And I was like, yeah, dude, like when you're playing 10 on 10 with these like good players, you can't be popping the top, right? No. Like he's an aggressive guy. He's running up to the front. Like you got to leave the stuff over the top to the guys way in the back. And you got to have time to watch that ball, and dodge it. I was like, here, you've really got to be in the cut low and keying up on, what cuts are worth watching, what's worth, pumping a few pods of paint into and why. But then you get into all that theory stuff. We were getting our kind of whipped early in the day and mech day with all Ken's guys and these old boys like Gridlock and Dark Carnival and all these old dudes. They had a lot of knowledge on that side of the team. Yeah. And Mark and Kevin, they've been playing semi-pro last year. Some really sharp guys. So like Drew wasn't kidding. It was like a different level. That last one, I really tried to get the team together so that we could give them a good point. And we did. We made them work a little bit harder for that last one.
Yeah, I don't feel like we got rolled over any time.
The second point, we definitely got rolled over.
Yeah, okay, on the hyperball, yeah.
The one before that was good. And then that happened. And so anyway, it progressed throughout the day, and then we kind of split it up and we just had a real good time. But it was such a chill day, and that's what I love about like mech and 10-man and that kind of stuff. Sometimes I spend so much time on the airball field running drills, snapping, like I can get a little bit maybe too nervous. Exactly, right? Like sometimes it's just good to get out and get your cleats in the mud and just kind of remember when you fell in love with paintball.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about it. And I had always done like mechanical stuff, but on the airball field, like I love my autococker. When we went to play World Cup on the Mounts, I was like, this is like the first time I played again, all over again. Like it's new, it's fresh. Like that's how I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is something.
Yeah. And like 10-man World Cup, like one of these days, I'm going to go to that. I really want to go to Red versus Blue, next weekend. It's Martin Luther King Day, by the way, people.
It is.
Shout out to Tim. Lord knows that we need to look at that example these days, and I'll let it be there. But
start coming together.
Yeah, right.
We'll let it ride there.
We'll let it be there. Yeah, I do just want to talk about paintball. I need to. It's just this place in my life where I just find joy, right? Even if I'm looking out and there's frustrations, I can always come back to paintball and kind of find my inner kid and just kind of take care of that guy a little bit, right? Paintball's a huge part of my self-care.
Yeah.
Well, and now getting through life, really.
I'll say this, the interview I had right before you, it was a guy in New Jersey, and one of the themes that came up was like, what's great about paintball is like there's all these different walks of life that come out to it. And what it's taught me over the years is like, ultimately, we're all the same.
Really?
We all just want to, if we want to have a nice home, have a loving family and have a good community.
One big human species. We've all got the same needs. We're all coming from the same place. There's a lot of artificial distinctions, but, if you got good eyes, you'll see. We're all the same, but yeah.
Well, let's delve into your little like personal past. with paintball. When and where did you start and how?
So my very first experience with paintball was with like a 2-blade thing from Walmart, and my stepdad was bribing me to go to like a Clemson game with him. Can you imagine? He had to, bribe this kid to go to a game with him. But he was like, come to the Clemson game, we'll get some paintball guns. It's like, deal, And had a great time at the game, came home, and like me and my older sister, just like 3 or 4 years older than me.
Sure.
So she was always kind of kicking my ass, they developed fast. So I was always, kind of behind. But we were playing paintball and I could keep up with her there, right? Gun's a great equalizer. So like that was kind of fun. But where I really started to get interested in paintball was through middle school. I wrestled and I hurt myself. Actually, I have like a dual spondylolisthesis. It's 2 fractures in my lower back. So I like hurt to wrestle, and I was sitting in the couch or something, and I think it was like maybe 2007. It was an MPPL, and they put it on ESPN. I was like watching Thomas Taylor and the Snake. They had the egos, and I was seeing these easy paintball guns. Cool. Well, some years went on and found myself in Southern California, living with my dad, and they were like, you need to get involved in something, right? You can't just be sitting around the house. And I was like, well, paintball seemed cool. It's just the dog, not the kid. I was like, paintball seemed cool, so I drive 45 minutes to Camp Pendleton Paintball Park down in Southern California onto the Marine base. And it was such a cool atmosphere. You can imagine this little kid coming from the South. I'm over there now, like, I love guns. I do. And like we're playing paintball and there's like real Chinooks and Cobras and like cool helicopters flying all around us. C-17s bringing all kinds of who knows what in and out of Camp Pendleton. And it was just a great park. I mean, Dynasty, practicing, Infamous, Excessive. We'd see Houston Heat and Impact. We'd see all these like legends. They were over there and we were over here and whatever. I think I got on the field with them one time. And it was really cool. It was just such a cool experience, and I loved playing at that park. It was just such a great park. It was the one that was by the airport. Then they moved it back toward the back gate for people who know. And the back gate park was like kind of cooler, but the first one was like tucked in this valley, so there was like a lot of like tree cover, and it was like really natural. There was a lot of places to really like play the terrain. And then when they moved it to the back, it was like much more open. I think a guy actually died from like heat exhaustion one day out there. It's Southern California, and it's not paintball, right? It's just human beings running around in the sun.
Yeah.
It'll happen to anybody, but it was harder. It was harder when they moved it to the back gate. But I started playing out there, and probably at the time, the average player was probably Division III. And we were playing 7-man semi. Got an Ego 9 for my first like high-end marker. And I played with that thing for years. I still got it. It's over there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is all Frankensteined up, went through frames and feed decks and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I got my start out there in Southern California. So I had a lot of opportunities to learn from some like really good guys. For the longest time, my favorite pro player was Justin Schwartz, because one day, like, I was just this stupid kid out there playing walk-ons, and he took me aside and he like taught me some real stuff about, ghosting bunkers and playing blind zones along the back line. I can still remember that it was, I still remember, and then I forgot. It was either 2009 or I think it was 2010 MAO. There were these like 4 pins or something along the back line on the Dorito side, and you could go out there, shoot back at the home, and like a lot of times you'd get him because he'd be up trying to shoot. So you could like shoot this cut, get him or put him in, and then get out to the Doritos. And it was like, what? So with a little bit of help, with a little bit of knowledge, these kids, they go far fast. Yeah. So yeah, I just took that on, and then I made my way out east, and it wasn't so easy to get that kind of
instruction,
interaction with quality players. Like for a long time, I'd have to drive from Birmingham. When I was in Memphis, I got in with some CEP guys. Colin Cherry, Bo Shaw was like the man. He was leading the D2 team. He eventually got some pro experience. I was so happy for Bo. He worked so hard for that pro experience, and he got it. And he was like, well, I did it. Check. But maybe he still plays. I don't know. But Colin's still going for it, right?
Yeah.
And he's been there. He's right there. So like I played with those guys for a little while, came over here, and then like kind of started my life over. And it's turned out pretty good. You know, I really like my life here in Greenville. Greer in Greenville, South Carolina is a pretty decent place to be, truly.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I came back from
My son just
North.
woke up.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'll bring him in here. We'll
Okay,
talk for a
cool.
little while with him.
Hey, buddy.
Now that we're up and at it, and everybody's seen my weird old tie pants that are comfortable,
We can edit it out.
Oh, I'm happy to just be me, right? Everybody's got this like polished Instagram, you know, filtered face. We can just be us, I guess.
Yeah.
He loves paintball stuff. I'm really worried about it when he goes to like school. He's gonna be like, and they're gonna be like, hang up the kids. And I'm like, no, he's playing paintball.
Yeah, it's different.
I've actually had a lot of thoughts around like just gun safety. It's like all my guns are locked up. He can't get a hold of them. But like I realized really quickly that had to be the case because he's going to see a thing with the trigger and think.
Yeah.
And it happens so often. I can't just say, oh, it happened to us.
Yeah,
you got to go do something to make sure it doesn't happen to you.
You got to take those precautions.
Yeah.
My son Jax, guess about when he was his age, I had just gotten in some like dye jerseys for the team. And like I got a picture of him wearing mine. You know, it just pretty much swaddles him.
But so yeah, we were talking about how we got into paintball and this and that. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how it happened. I made an intentional decision as a young man. I had a lot of support. My stepmom was a huge like support. She was like, Michael wants to play paintball. She did all the research and like found out the places to play and, you know, thought about it and was like, sent me there. And it was really great for me. You know, I got a job at the park. My first job was a paintball referee. And, you know, I learned a lot about, you know, working and doing that there for Sean Walker at Camp Pendleton Paintball Park. I actually bought this ego from him. It was old. It had been on the shop wall for a year. It was 2010 and now it's a 2009. So he was like, oh, get rid of this thing. So he gave it to me a little discount. I was working for him. I would work and they'd pay me some paint and I'd make a payment. But man, once I got that thing, I was on a roll and I fell in love with it, you know, and at school I was drawing layouts in my binders, you know, I was like drawing the layouts from memory that I was about to compete on and, you know, drawing a line for every possible shot, you know, it just looked like
getting that ruler out.
Yeah. I mean, like it completely consumed my mind at the time. It really gave me something to focus on, but you know, I'm glad I had it because I learned so much.
Yeah. I think, especially for young men, the sport can be so beneficial. So you're angsty and you're weird and hormonal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rage that just builds up in young men for whatever reason.
It's true. It's called testosterone.
Yeah.
And it can make us kind of stupid. And, you know, like doing that, you know, like I learned through paintball, like to me, it's like a martial art. You know, I learned how very much to control myself because like I remember shooting this guy in the foot and he was playing all with it, you know, it didn't count to him and it meant so much to me as this young kid and just like losing my mind, right, and embarrassing myself. And then, you know, in time I learned that like that's gonna happen and I have no control of that, right? Like what other people do is outside of my control. So, you know, next time it happens, is me losing control really doing me any favors?
Yeah.
Right? No. Like, I guess I got to shoot him again. So calm down and refocus. just do it again. You did it once, you can do it again, and you just have to have that effort. I'll just do it again. I'm better than this person. He's a cheater, right? Like he doesn't have it, So it really helped me focus on, managing my own emotions and, choosing a perspective that's going to at least do me some sort of favor. A lot of people choose perspectives that aren't doing them any favors. It's not useful by any means, and a lot of young men, we see a lot of really bad outcomes, right? It's another reason I really wanted to do this, because I know that there's a lot of odd people out there with a lot of really bad ideas. And I was like, somebody's going to lead a club that I'm some guru or anything like that, but I know enough to say, hey, kid, you're going to have to learn how to control your rage. I think that's something that we all know that we struggle with, little guys.
Well, it's a valuable lesson. As someone who also reffed growing up, you learn real quick how to manage people and diffuse situations.
Yeah.
I don't think as a 14, 15-year-old kid, you're not gonna be given those opportunities at other jobs.
No. Am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah.
Like right here in front of my kid. Anyway, my first job at the Camp Hiddleton Paintball Park. This is at the original park. They had this house map. It was like this small dirt field, but it was level. It's where they used to play airball on the dirt. But then they put some houses on it. And then I was actually reffing like this company of Marines, like military organization. Some of these words I don't really know. So, to you vets out there, and I'm butchering this story, I apologize. But I think it was like a platoon, and it was like A company and B company, something like that. And which was like really cool. Like I heard some officer at some point, like they had cornered the other company and he like ordered a charge. Like this was something. That's when I realized like the Marines were nuts, right? That they had trained, like they were ready, and they did. As soon as he said charge, like they all got up out of their spot and they went for it. And they're like, some of us are going to get shot, but not all of us. All of them are going to get shot. And I was like, these guys are nuts. This is wild. But anyway, so we're on the house though, and these two Marines come around the corner at the same time, shoot it out of each other. And then one of the Marines comes back around the corner, flips his gun around like a baseball bat, and starts coming back around the corner. Like, that's not paintball. Meanwhile, I'm this like 16-year-old kid. I'm in the Eagle's Nest, right? They had built a tower up over this field. And I was like, I can't just let him do this. So I got to do something. And like, I was like 16. I was like, this Marine is not going to listen to a 16-year-old. Hey, let that shit out. I whipped out my big man voice for like the first time. Like I found it. And that Marine, they're well trained. Went mid-swing, to the side, walked off the field, did exactly what I asked him to do.
Nice.
It was the wildest thing. But it was such a good experience, being a paintball ref and, being in that area. I don't know how long this is going to be sustainable, but
yeah. Well, we let's wrap it up.
Okay. Were there any other burning questions?
No, I mean, we can always we'll get you back on and do some other stuff after AC's done some things and some team somewhere, and
absolutely
we could kind of complete your story there, because you have done some cool things for sure. CEP and
Pirates before that. Pirates was a Southern California team that I was a part of, and then and that was really cool. I got a lot of opportunities. Like I got to play against Dynasty when I was with that organization. Like that was so cool. And then CEP was like a really interesting experience. Did a lot of learning there, a lot of growing, a lot of just being an awkward kid, right? Did a little bit. Then I was going down to Birmingham again, because that's where I knew the good ball was going to be in the Southeast.
With Prime, right?
Yeah, at the Prime Park with Katana. I was playing D3 with them. I just don't think I gelled well with that team. It was too bad, because I had a lot of really high hopes. But I was, you know how I am, right? I'm kind of detail oriented. I want things to be explicit. I want things to be explained. You know, I got to like understand the theory. I got to understand the big picture. So like when I was saying, okay, guys, like let's put some pen to paper, you know, nobody wanted to do that with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody wanted to figure out how we were going to control the zones and, you know, key up on what shots were important and like then drill those things. And
Mm-hmm.
I could just never find that organization. That was a
Mhm.
frustration for a long.
Yeah.
And I think half of why I'm good is because through that frustration, I just kind of went into my own little hole. I just drill, right? I just
Mhm.
show up to the park and play. And if I didn't have anybody to play with, I'd drill. But like snapshot and that stuff's, you know, pretty good. Not as strong as I once was. So it's not as good as it always was.
Country song, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, there's like a couple of iterations. So it would be cool to like dive into those, you know, a bit, tell some stories. I think Oliver Lang cheated me one time.
Oh, yeah.
Practice. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that, and that'll be a teaser for
Teaser.
for next go around. I'll tell
For
that
the
story.
next one.
I don't
love
know.
it.
I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'll let that out there.
Well, normally we shout out sponsors at this time, but
I don't have any sponsors.
no sponsors. So,
I know. Paintball
we'll catch you-
Central, we'd love to
yeah.
work something out. We're kind of giving you the milk, but you know, I'd love it if you bought the cow. But yeah, nope. It's just shout out to Upstate Paintball. Shout out to the community. Shout out to the people. You know.
Hey, shout out Callie. He's, you know.
Yeah.
Shout out Callie, the manager
Shout
at
out
PBC.
Callie. Absolutely. Ryan Callahan. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
He's a really great dude. You know, when Helene hit, he was working hard. He worked himself to the bone, and he gave everything he had to go help his neighbors up there in Asheville. Callie's a real one. So, you know, if anybody didn't know, now you know.
Yeah. He's a great guy and asks for nothing in return.
Nope. He's just there. I think Callahan's just one of those people where he's just doing his job. He's just one of those people who's just out there doing his best. And I've got mad respect for anybody who's just out there doing their best, trying to be kind and trying to grow. Now, that's what the world really needs. So, yeah. Shout out to Callahan. Great call.
All right, man. I'm going to stop the recording and then we just got to keep it up.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code Planet Paintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball Podcast